Okay, so what I want to do here is just give you an introduction to the meter, the common unit of length that we see in the metric system. And like I say to all of my classes, in the US, we're at a bit of a disadvantage. We're not used to, well, mostly not used to centimeters and meters. We're used to inches and feet and miles, etc. So what I want to do here is just sort of run through the basic measurements associated with the meter stick, okay, and not get too far into it. And you can see I have two different meter sticks. I have your typical meter stick, and then I have one that's marked off and labeled as a, it's a teaching tool, basically. And first off, let's just, it's about the distance of a yard, and it's just repeating pattern, just like any other measuring device, right? Okay. And we go up, and it ends at, well, you can describe it as 1 meter or 10 decimeters or 100 centimeters or 1,000 millimeters. Those are all the same distances, okay, this meter stick. And for this purpose, just briefly, if I flip this over, we're talking about a distance of, about a yard, a little bit more than a yard. So you can see it's just past 39 inches for us, okay? And that's the last reference probably to our typical measurement units. Let's move back to the beginning there. And what I want to point out is just like any other measurement device, it's just a repeating pattern, right? Okay, so, and also for the purposes of the first measurement lab, when it's asking you to describe a different, distances on a meter stick. This is relevant here. So let's just look at the basic structure here. Okay, so if I take the meter stick and then if I break it up into 10 separate units, right? So if you treat this as, actually I should point here, right? One chunk, 1/10 of the meter stick, we refer to that as a decimeter. And what you can see is if, 1 decimeter to, again, I've broken the meter stick into 10 equal pieces. And so what we would say is that there are 10 decimeters in that meter stick. Okay, and then if we go smaller, now this little chunk here, that would represent the single written numbers anyway on the meter stick here. If I look at that chunk, well, that's referred to as 1 centimeter. And what's happening here is that you're just simply taking this meter stick and you're breaking it apart into 100 individual units. And if you count them down, it just repeats itself over and over again. If you counted each one of those little blocks here, it would come up to 100 equal measurement units that we know as a centimeter. So the centimeter, there are 100 centimeters in a meter. You can also say that a centimeter is 1/100th of a meter stick. And then the smallest measurement on your typical meter stick are these. So you have marks, obviously, right? The smallest marks are closest together, but it's not unusual. There's no like 1, 2, or 3. There's no numerical marking for those. Those smaller ones are referred to, and you can see it down here. It's referred to as millimeters. Okay, now that small marking is based on the fact that we've taken the meter stick and then we've divided the meter stick into 1,000 separate distances. That's 1 millimeter. And all right, and if you count them over, and I won't slide all the way this time, but if you count them over all the way across, you would wind up with 1,000 little marks. And so you can say that the millimeter is 1,000th of a meter stick, or you can say that there are 1,000 millimeters in a meter stick. And notice there's some other relationships here. Like for example, yes, 10 centimeters is equal to 100 millimeters, right? That's referencing that specific distance there. It's just depending on whether you're dealing with the small marks or the slightly larger marks. But notice the 10 to 100 is also equal to, now 1 centimeter is equal to 10 millimeter. That's a more common relationship on the meter stick that you sometimes use. Or when we do unit conversion or dimensional analysis, the term conversion factor will be used. So all that I talk about conversion factors on the video lectures, well, what it's getting at is all these different relationships. Again, 1 meter equals 1,000 millimeters, 1 meter equals 100 centimeters, 1 meter equals 10 decimeters, right? That relationship is still just describing this distance that we know as 1 meter, okay? It's just that you're choosing a variety of different units that you can use to describe that particular distance. Just like we could say 1 foot, we all know, basically what 1 foot equals to. Well, we could also describe that as 12 inches, right? 12 inches equals 1 foot. That's another conversion factor, okay? It's just a relationship between two different units measuring the same thing, in this case, distance.